So for myself this year, for NAIDOC week, I intend to go out and sit on the land. I like to connect with nature, connect with the animals, the trees, and just see the stories that are all around me, and to just connect more than anything. I'll also head down to probably the glass house where something will be happening down there, and just connect with people and just share who I am and hear who they are. The theme for this year always was, always will be, what I really see is a lot around, it's my ancestors, it's our ancestors, it's the stories that are shared and continuously shared. And what I love is that this land is so unique. The animals in this land are so unique, and they'll just be handed down generation to generation. And that connection to the Mother Earth, and what she shares will always support us and will always be there. So that's how I'm going to celebrate.
Hey, for me, NAIDOC is an opportunity for all Australians to acknowledge and celebrate Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander culture and people, and their unbroken spiritual and real connection with land and this country for over 65,000 years. And so I think that the NAIDOC week celebration is really important in that space. Interrelate and as a person, normally, like this year's really different, but normally we would celebrate NAIDOC by attending events, flying the flag for Interrelate, and really flying the flag for the programs and role that we play in Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander community and families. This year's really different because firstly it's been postponed, and then we've got online events, and so the way that NAIDOC's being celebrated and acknowledged this year is really different. And I think there's an exciting opportunity, Janet, for us to be able to have internal conversations. So previously we would have gone somewhere, represented Interrelate, but today and this year we're having really deep and important conversations internally about what that means to us. And the last part of your question was really about this year's theme, 2020 theme being always was, always will be. And I think it says it all in itself, that it is acknowledging Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander connectedness with this country for 65,000 years. For me, I think where it makes me think and consider is that I want a future where we don't need a NAIDOC celebration. We will continue to have NAIDOC celebrations, but we don't need a NAIDOC celebration to bring our thoughts and realizations about that connectedness. That in our everyday life, we are connected with and acknowledge Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander connectedness with community. And I don't know what that looks like. And I see it some of the times, but I'd like to see it everywhere, where, for example, if I drive into a town, I see the place name, but I also see the Aboriginal owners of that country and their place name. And if that was across Australia, I think as a starter, we'd be in a much better place about acknowledging always was, always will be. Thank you.
Yeah, so what am I doing for NAIDOC? Well, NITV, I've got some amazing stuff happening for NAIDOC week, so I'm going to immerse myself into some great old movies and documentaries. And I also want to watch Adam Goods's the two documentaries that were done on him last year or the year before. Amazing story, fantastic, inspirational, heartbreaking as well, but very powerful. So I'm going to rewatch those as well, and that's my way of celebrating this wonderful country and the wonderful custodians that we have of this land. Always was and always will be, for me, it sounds like I watch a lot of documentaries, but, you know, I have just watched David Attenborough, and he talks about how we've got to the place that we are in terms of our planet and what we're doing to it, what the scary trajectory could be if we don't do something about it. And then he talks about some simple and basic things of what we can do. And as I was listening to it, I was thinking, well, we've got the greatest teachers in the world on how to look after our planet, and particularly our country. right here, because they've got a long history on how they've cared for the planet, for the country, how they've lived a sustainable lifestyle. And so it's about time that we whiteys sucked it up and learnt from the experts on how to love and care for this land and for our planet. So always was, always will be the best custodians of this country, and it's time we listened and followed suit.
Hi, I'm Helen Cook. Been asked to reflect on what the 2020 NAIDOC theme, Always Was and Always Will Be, means to me, including how that theme relates to my work, and to have a bit of a chat about how I celebrate NAIDOC Week. Started by saying that I celebrate NAIDOC Week in a lot of ways, participating in community events, ceremonies, celebrations, and attending things such as exhibits for arts and culture. But, you know, in addition, I value any opportunity I have to participate, any opportunity I have to listen and to learn from Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. To explain what the theme Always Was and Always Will Be means to me, I need to let you know about something that happened when I was about 9-10 years of age at school. I can recall the teacher talking about this famous and brave explorer who happens to share my surname. Fortunately for me, I belong to a family who has always had very robust discussions and debates and sometimes arguments on social matters. And that day I also learned from my parents about the brutality and the murder and the displacement of Aboriginal people. I felt a sense of shame having the same surname. So I vowed then to always learn the truth. And from that day forward, I committed to keep learning and sharing that learning with future generations. I recall many a conversation and debates with teachers, and I've recalled, you know, sharing my learnings with my children. Our past is our past. It what always was and always will be. And I see the importance of telling teaching children the truth about our past. It gives the respect and the value to it, what it deserves. We know that we can't change the past, but we can influence the future and be proud of that. The work that I do at Interrelate is to ensure that I keep learning. I keep aiming for best practice for a future, a better future, by understanding how our services and our programs can meet the needs of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander, the individuals, the families and their communities. Thank you for providing me with an opportunity to engage in this conversation. You know, I want to celebrate NAIDOC Week and pay all my respects to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people across this vast and beautiful land. Thank you.
All right, well, I do find it really hard to find anything online for NAIDOC, but I found there was an art exhibition online, which I'm really keen to sign up for. And also there's an Aboriginal film festival, which looked really good too. So keen to explore that. If we weren't in COVID, then my favourite thing to do would be to go on a bush tucker and bush medicine walk with Uncle Bill. He takes people through sea acres and I don't have a good memory. So I need to refresh my memory as to what plant does what. Yeah. And the theme for me with NAIDOC Week always was, always will be, it really struck home that idea of Aboriginal people being custodians and caretakers of our land. And I feel really emotional at what's happening in our bush at the moment. So went up and saw one of the fire-stricken areas just recently and it was pretty devastating to see what had happened, although incredible to see the orchids and the new growth coming back. But certainly for me, always was, always will be custodians and caretakers of the land. And I just want to learn as much as possible. And I think we as a society need to learn as much as possible to save our bush and really look after our land.